Children, today we are going to start a new chapter, equilibrium. Equilibrium is a state of a process in which the properties like temperature, pressure, concentration of system do not show any change with passage of time. It is obtained when rate of two opposing processes become equal. Now, if the opposing processes are involving only physical changes, it is called physical equilibrium. And if it is involving chemical reactions or changes, then it is called as chemical equilibrium. The mixture of reactants and products at equilibrium is called as an equilibrium mixture. Now first let us study about equilibrium in physical processes. Now most common examples involving physical processes are, first is solid liquid equilibrium. See, for example, water in solid state, it can exist as ice. It gets converted to water in liquid state. And similarly, the liquid water, it can be converted back into ice. So, this is a solid liquid equilibrium in which from solid state, water is getting converted to liquid and from liquid back to solid. Second is liquid vapor equilibrium. Example, again we can take water. Liquid water can be converted into vapor and vapor can be condensed back into liquid water. The third is solid vapor equilibrium. Now in this, the example is camphor. Camphor is solid. Camphor, kapoor. It can be vaporized. So camphor, it can convert from solid form into vapor form, and the vapor can again be converted back into solid. Similarly, NH4Cl, which is solid, it can be converted into its vapor form, and from vapor it can again be condensed to solid NH4Cl. So this is solid vapor equilibrium. Next is solid solution equilibrium. Sugar, which is solid, it can dissolve in solution, and from solution, sugar can again, the solid form of sugar can again be obtained by evaporating the liquid part. So this is solid solution equilibrium. The fifth type is gas solution equilibrium. An example is carbon dioxide, which is in gaseous state. It can dissolve in solution, and from solution, gaseous carbon dioxide can again be obtained. So these are the equilibrium in physical processes where the state of the substance is changing from solid to liquid or liquid to gas, and it can again be converted back into the original form. Okay, next is equilibria in chemical processes. Now this is of two types. First is reversible reactions. Now, reversible reaction is a reaction which can take place in forward as well as in backward direction under the same conditions. Now, it is represented by this double arrow. See here, one arrow pointing in forward direction, the other one pointing in backward direction. Okay, so between the reactants and the products, this double arrow is placed like this, A plus B. Then these double arrows giving you C plus D. Now for example, some reversible reaction examples we'll take, like calcium carbonate. It can be converted into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Now this calcium oxide and carbon dioxide can again combine and form calcium carbonate. Similarly, N2O4. It can give you 2NO2, and this 2NO2 can again get converted back into N2O4. CH3COOH plus C2H5OH, acetic acid and ethyl alcohol, they give you CH3COO C2H5 and water. Now this CH3COO C2H5 and water can again get converted back into CH3COOH and C2H5OH. So these are the examples of reversible reactions. These are in chemical equilibrium. Next we come to irreversible reactions. if reaction takes place only in a single direction, that is, the products do not react to give back the reactant under same conditions, then it is called as irreversible reaction. It is represented by putting a single arrow between the reactant and the product. Okay, so the direction of the arrow will be towards the product. Like for example, 2 mg plus O2, it is giving you 2 mgO. And here AgNO3 plus NaCl, it gives you AgCl plus NaNO3. Now these do not convert back into the reactant, so only a single arrow is depicting it, showing that these are irreversible reaction. Okay, now we come to the concept of chemical equilibrium. Suppose we take a reversible reaction, A plus B is giving you C plus D. Now in the beginning, when the time is 0, concentration of A and B are maximum, because A and B are the reactants. So it is in full quantity, no product has been formed when the time is 0. And C and D will be 0, minimum. Now as the reaction will proceed, concentration of A and B will decrease with increase of time, and C and D will increase with increase of time. Ultimately, a stage will come when the rate of forward reaction will become equal to the rate of backward reaction. Then the reaction is said to be in a state of chemical equilibrium. See here, suppose this is time, showing time, and this is the rate of reaction. So when the rate of forward reaction and rate of backward reaction, they both become equilibrium, then this point is called as equilibrium point, and the reaction is said to be in chemical equilibrium. For example, decomposition of N2O4 in a closed vessel. N2O4 decomposes to give you 2NO2. You saw the equation earlier. So N2O4 is colorless and NO2 is reddish brown. Now N2O4 is taken in a sealed glass tube and placed in ice. When the sealed glass bulb is shifted into a vessel containing water at 25 degrees Celsius, the bulb starts acquiring brown color, because NO2 is brownish color, which first deepens and then becomes constant. This indicates, when it becomes constant, then that is indicating that a state of equilibrium in which concentration of N2O4 and NO2 have become constant. Now no more conversion of N2O4 into NO2 or NO2 into N2O4. Their presence in reaction mixture can be tested by increasing temperature of the bulb further. So if you change the conditions by increasing the temperature, then the brown color disappears. And if you cool the bulb from down from 25 degrees Celsius, brown color fades. Okay. So this is the meaning of chemical equilibrium. See, forward reaction is decrease in concentration of A and B and increase in concentration of C and D. Backward reaction is decrease in concentration of C and D, increase in concentration of A and B. So when both the rates become equal, then that state is called as equilibrium. Okay. Now we come to dynamic nature of chemical equilibrium. When equilibrium is reached, concentration of each of the reactant and products becomes constant. The reaction does not stop but still continues in backward as well as forward direction. But what happens is that the rate of reaction in both directions becomes equal. Hence, equilibrium is dynamic in nature, not static. It would have been static had the reaction stopped. The reaction does not stop. Only thing is, the rate of forward reaction is equal to the rate of backward reaction, so we see no change. in the overall process. So we feel that nothing is happening, but actually the reaction is continuing. So the chemical equilibrium is dynamic in nature. For example, in Haber's process, for manufacture of ammonia, we start with definite amount of nitrogen and hydrogen and carrying out the reaction at a particular temperature when equilibrium is attained. Concentration of N2, H2 and NH3, they all become constant at equilibrium. Okay. Now we come to the characteristics of chemical equilibrium. Now there are a few characteristics of chemical equilibrium. First is, at equilibrium, concentration of each of the reactants and the products becomes constant. Now this can be shown graphically for a general reversible reaction. A plus B gives C plus D, like this. See, initially there's a change in C or D. Same way there's a change in A or B. But over here at the point of equilibrium, it has become almost straight. So the concentration becomes constant for C and D as well as for A and B. Second property of chemical equilibrium, we have already discussed that equilibrium is dynamic in nature. Third is, it can be established only if the vessel is closed. We don't have to allow the reactants to escape, because if anything goes out, like if any vapor or gas is allowed to leave, then we will not get an equilibrium. Reverse reaction will not take place. Fourth is, it can be obtained from either direction. And the fifth characteristic is that a catalyst does not alter the state of equilibrium. Catalysts normally increase or decrease the rate of reaction, but the state of equilibrium cannot be changed by a catalyst. So these are the characteristics of chemical equilibrium. Now next we come to the law of mass action. Now this law was given by Guldberg and Wage, and it states that the rate of reaction is proportional to the product of active masses of the reactants, each raised to the power equal to its stoichiometric coefficient as represented by the balanced chemical equation. Again I am repeating, because this is a very important law. Rate of reaction is proportional to the product of active mass of reactants. What is the meaning of active mass? See, reactant is present. Suppose you have taken 5 grams, 50 grams, 100 grams. But it is not necessary that the whole of the reactant which you have taken will take part in the reaction. So active mass is that part of reactant which is participating in the reaction. Raised to the power equal to its stoichiometric coefficient. Again, this term stoichiometric coefficient you must have studied in class 10. In a balanced equation, chemical equation, the numbers which are given before each reactant, that is the stoichiometric coefficient. So rate of reaction is proportional to product of active mass of reactant, each raised to power of its stoichiometric coefficient as represented by the balanced equation. Now suppose we take a reaction, A plus B gives you the products. Now according to law of mass action, rate at which A reacts is directly proportional to concentration of A, because here stoichiometric coefficient is 1, so just A. Rate at which B reacts is directly proportional to concentration of B. Now rate at which A and B react together will be directly proportional to concentration of A into concentration of B. And if we remove the proportionality sign, we will get is equal to K A into B, where K is velocity constant. So for a general reaction, suppose the reaction is small a plus small b plus small c gives you products. Rate of reaction will be directly proportional to concentration of A raised to the power small a into concentration of B raised to the power small b into concentration of C raised to the power small c. Because see here in this equation, small a, small b and small c, they are the stoichiometric coefficients. So they have to be made as exponents. So is it clear? This is the law of mass action. Now next we come to law of chemical equilibrium. Now suppose we take a reversible reaction. A plus B gives you C plus D. At equilibrium, suppose the active masses of A, B, C and D are given as the concentration of A, concentration of B, C and D respectively. If you apply the law of mass action, then rate of forward reaction will be directly proportional to concentration of A into concentration of B, that is KF will be equal to concentration of A into concentration of B. Here, this is the rate of forward reaction, which can be given as KF is equal to concentration of A, concentration of B. Right? And rate of backward reaction can be KB into concentration of C, concentration of D. So, because when you remove the proportionality sign, you put this constant K over here. So, K rate of forward reaction is equal to KF, concentration of A into concentration of B, and rate of backward reaction is KB, concentration of C, concentration of D. Okay. Now at equilibrium, the rate of forward reaction is equal to rate of backward reaction. So it means that KF, concentration of A, concentration of B is equal to KB, concentration of C, concentration of D. Or you can say KF upon KB is equal to concentration of C upon concentration of D divided by concentration of A into concentration of B, which we will write as K. So this K here, this is the equilibrium constant. So for a general reversible reaction which is given as, suppose small a plus small b plus dash, that means it can be small c, small d and so on, gives you x plus small y. If we apply the law of mass action, we get K is equal to x to the power x upon y to the power y divided by a to the power a upon b to the power b. Now this is at constant temperature. So this equation is called as law of chemical equilibrium, and you can say that it can be stated as product of molar concentration of products, each raised to the power equal to its stoichiometric coefficient, divided by products of molar concentration of reactants, each raised to the power equal to its stoichiometric coefficient, is constant at constant temperature, and it is called as equilibrium constant. This K is equilibrium constant. So here what you have done is, here you have taken the products raised to their stoichiometric coefficient divided by reactants raised to their stoichiometric coefficient. Okay. Now, if for a gas phase reaction in which reactants and products, they are in gaseous phase, it is denoted as Kp, and it is given as p to the power x into x dot p to the power y into y, and this is p to the power a into p to power b, where Pa PB, Px and Py are partial pressures of A, B, X and Y respectively in the reaction mixture at equilibrium. Understood? This Px, Py, Pa and Pb, these are all partial pressures. So for gaseous phase, if we have to calculate the equilibrium constant, we take into account the partial pressure of A, B, X and Y. Now, this chemical equilibrium constant, it was given as Kc. For gas phase reaction, equilibrium constant is given as Kp. So next we will derive a relationship between Kp and Kc. So we come to relationship between Kp and Kc. Again, we will take a reversible reaction. AA plus BB gives you XX plus YY, this reaction. Now, if the equilibrium constant for this reaction is expressed in terms of concentration, Kc, we get Kc is equal to x to the power small x, concentration of Y to the power small y, divided by concentration of A to the power small a and concentration of B to the power small b. Okay, so this concentration of X, suppose we write it as Cx, C for concentrations, and concentration of X. So you can write Kc is equal to Cx to the power X into Cy to the power Y divided by Ca to the power A and Cb to the power B, where Ca, Cb, Cx and Cy represent the molar concentration of A, B, X and Y. Now if A, B, X and Y are gases, the equilibrium constant will be expressed in terms of partial pressures. So it will become, Kp will become Px to the power X into Py to the power Y divided by Pa to the power A into Pb to the power B. Now if the gases are supposed to be ideal gases, then we can apply the ideal gas equation to them. You know what is the ideal gas equation? PV is equal to nRT. So in that case, P is equal to nRT upon V. Now this can be written as P is equal to CRT, because N upon V is equal to C, that is molar concentration. So for the gases A, B, X and Y, we can write Pa is equal to CART, Pb is equal to CBRT, Px is equal to CXRT, Py is equal to CYRT. So just substituting these values in this Kp formula, you get Kp is equal to CXRT to the power X, CYRT to the power Y. Okay. And here you get CART to the power A divided by CART to the power A and CBRT to the power B, which comes to RT gets cancelled. So you get you can take it common, RT. So you get Cx to the power X into Cy to the power Y, and RT is taken common in both. So RT X plus Y. Similarly here, Ca to the power A, Cb to the power B and RT A plus B. Okay, so this can be written as Cx to the power X, Cy to the power Y divided by Ca to the power A, Cb to the power B, RT X plus Y minus A plus B. Now this Cx to the power X, Cy to the power Y, C divided by Ca to the power A and Cb to the power B, this already you have established as Kc. So this can be written as Kc into RT delta n. Okay, where delta n is equal to a plus y minus a minus x plus y minus a plus b. Okay, and kc is equal to cx to the power x into cy to the power y upon cb to the power b and ca to the power a. Hence kp is equal to kc rt to the power delta n. This is given below. Just 1 minute. So kp becomes equal to kc into rt to the power delta n, where I told you delta n is equal to x plus y. This should be x, not a. X plus y minus a plus b. Okay, that is number of moles of products minus number of moles of reactants. Hence, it is also important to remember that kp will be equal to kc if delta n is equal to 0, because anything raised to the power 0 is 1. kp will be greater than kc when delta n is greater than 0. And kp will be less than kc when delta n is less than 0. Alright, so this is the relationship. And sometimes in the exam it is asked, when will kp be equal to kc, or when will, under what condition kp will be greater than or less than kc. So these you have to keep in mind. Okay, the remaining we'll do in our next video. Children, today